What is up, Ravens? I'm Cameron Owsley here with
Amy Applegate. Last week we had some special visitors with us, and we'll make sure to give you all the details.
Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and people in KC are giving back, and you can see how. Now let's roll that intro. Next week is the week of giving in the school's blood drive.
The blood drive is on Friday, November 10th, and you can sign up online with a form from Ms. Laughlин's room.
Make sure to participate in the Spirit Days and the Can Drive.
Hey Ravens, make sure to stay safe with more cases of tuberculosis.
Let's take it to Ash Hunt to tell us more about it.
Tuberculosis has been the talk of the school lately, and many people have unanswered questions like, what is tuberculosis and am I at risk?
Tuberculosis is a bacterial infection that's one of the most prevalent infections around the world. If you have someone in your classroom that's infected, you'd want to be tested to make sure that you don't have it. The most important part of prevention and of treatment is recognition, because you can have active tuberculosis and have very few symptoms for a long time. You're potentially spreading that infection without knowing that you have it.
For those who are extra concerned, preventative measures can be taken to potentially prevent infection.
So the N95 mask that everybody talked about was on shortage for a long time. That's a very important mask for someone treating someone with tuberculosis. That's a good way to protect yourself. So masking would be the number one way to protect yourself if you were in the presence of a infected person.
If you do happen to test positive, there are effective measures and treatments in place.
Treatment is quite a bit different than if you had, say, a strep throat or a skin infection. If you have a person who gets diagnosed with tuberculosis, obviously you want to isolate them. So because of respiratory droplets, as we've all experienced in the last few years with COVID, you know what that feels like. It's a prolonged treatment. For the first 2 months, you take 4 drugs typically every day. And then 4 months after that, you do a 2-drug regimen. It can be extended several months beyond that based on risk factors, but typically a 6-month treatment time frame.
Hypochondria is very real and should not be overlooked, so try not to stress too much about the circumstances.
The biggest fear is the unknown, but the truth is, even though it is very contagious and easily spread in a normal, healthy individual, your body, for the most part, is going to clear it itself. If you develop it, there's good treatment in place, which is why the incidence of tuberculosis in the United States is extremely low, because we're a developed country and we have good treatment regimens.
Let's stay safe and informed, Ravens. For ONW Now, this has been Ash Hunt. Let's throw it back to the desk.
Hey Cam, did you know that October was Down Syndrome Awareness Month?
I didn't, but let's hear from Hannah Carney about the Step Up for Down Syndrome walk that was hosted at Arrowhead last weekend.
If you didn't know, October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month, and that's what this organization, Down Syndrome Innovations, is all about. Let's hear more from the founder about the community she's built for families and kids with Down syndrome.
Yeah. So this is our annual Step Up Walk for Down syndrome. It's a really important fundraiser. It helps support our services. We provide complimentary education and skilled services to help improve people's lives.
Crisscross.
Not only does DSI work to provide valuable resources for families, but they also come together to create a supportive community.
Today is really about being united. It's about gathering together. It's a reunion of family, of friends, activity, it's celebration. It's really understanding that Down syndrome, that part of their journey is something to be celebrated, not a negative. And so we think of it as, it's a fundraiser, but it's a party. The most important part of the event is the ceremonial walk at 1:30, and we cheer them on and they walk around the Chiefs Stadium. It's just a ritual, but that's what this whole festival leads up to. I think it's the spirit of inclusion, right? It's the idea that, whether it's someone with any kind of developmental disability, autism or Down syndrome, that they're citizens in our world. They're friends in our community, and there's no fears in approaching them and being a part of their life and friendships.
This has been Hannah Carney with the Raven Network. Now back to the desk.
Hey, I've noticed some new smiling faces around the school these past 2 weeks.
They must have been the new German exchange students. Let's take it to Addison Lowe to hear more about these new Ravens.
We have a sister school in Penzberg, Germany, which is just south of Munich. You've probably heard of Munich. And they have 20 students that come to Olathe Northwest, and they usually come in the fall, so they can do all things fall, like Halloween and football games and all of that. So they come for 10 days. And then we go to Germany in the summer, and some of our students will also stay in Penzberg, so it's a really nice exchange.
During their time here, the German exchange students got to enjoy delicious breakfast foods at Mahaffey Farmstead. They also got to listen to a speech that the mayor of Olathe presented, as well as taking a tour of the farmstead.
It's mind-opening to see when the German students come here, and also when I take students to Germany, that the change in my students, they become more independent and more confident that they have done something and they've gone somewhere and seen something new. So it's really cool to see some students really come out of their shell.
On top of all of the activities that the students got to do, there was a farewell dinner held at Olathe West. This included yummy food from Chipotle and presentations that the German students created.
Sweets, but also the school also offers you can go to activities and you can do.
On top of seeing some of the events that the exchange students got to do, we also got an inside look on what it's like to be a host family.
A host family is someone who's hosting an exchange student at their house, and they're basically living with them like a part of the family.
Currently, Alex and her family are hosting Mia, who is a senior here at ONW, and Sarah from Germany.
We've hosted a lot of exchange students in the past, and I think it's a really good opportunity to get to know other cultures.
We are so happy these students got to see what it's like to be a part of our schools. This has been Addison Lowe from the Raven Network.
Are you looking for ways to give back this season? Well, we have a solution for you. Let's give it to Kinley Carter to tell us more about these Thanksgiving bags.
How can we help those that don't have what we do?
Good morning, Ravens. Today we're here at Resurrection United Methodist Church to learn more about their Thanksgiving meal bags and their mission behind it.
The bags are a way for our congregation here at Resurrection and our community in Kansas City to help give back to those in need most in Kansas City. And I always think of it as a journey from that staple to a hanging rack to somebody else's hand. Everybody's blessed in the whole entire process.
The simple act of just taking one of these off of a rack has a much larger community impact.
So our target with these bags are families that are fighting to stay on track. They're doing everything they know to do, or they're asking for help to figure out what's next, and trying to give them an opportunity to find something to put on the table.
Our Serve Saturday, November 18th, we are handing all these bags out to our local pantry partner, or pantry clients, and they drive through, we put it in the car, we have carolers come sing, and we just make it a huge event.
As Resurrection congregation members are donating their bags this month, don't forget to give back at Ravens. This has been Kinley Carter for the Raven Network.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold up, Ravens. We have some special sponsors, so let's take a minute for a quick commercial break, and after that, let's send it to game day.
Welcome, Ravens, to everyone's favorite segment, Game Day Northwest. I'm Emma Stanfield.
And I'm Ryan Koje. We have some exciting events to talk about, so let's get right into it. Last weekend, the girls' volleyball team traveled down to Salina to compete in the state volleyball tournament. The girls went 2-1 on day one, only losing to the eventual champions of Mill Valley, good enough to put them into the semifinals to face off against defending state champions Blue Valley North.
The girls started off slow against Blue Valley North, but our Ravens were able to dominate the second set. The girls were able to take an early lead into the final set, but the Mustangs of Blue Valley North clawed their way back into the game and defeated the Ravens.
The Ravens' day was not over, however, as they played Blue Valley West in the third place game, which they went on to dominate against the Jags. Congrats to the volleyball team for finishing third in the state, and thank you to all the seniors for a great career at Olathe Northwest.
The varsity football team traveled to Blue Valley District Stadium this past Thursday night to face the 5th-seeded Blue Valley Northwest Huskies in the first round of playoffs.
Last season, the Ravens had a magical run to sub-state before their dream came to a crushing end at the hands of Gardner Edgerton. But the Ravens were hoping once again for some of that playoff magic.
After the Huskies took the opening kickoff and marched down the field to take a 7-0 lead, the Ravens also had a promising drive of their own, getting all the way down inside the Huskies' 10.
But Olathe Northwest stopped on a crucial 4th down, and the momentum completely changed. After the disappointing drive, the game only got worse as Blue Valley Northwest couldn't be stopped on offense, and the Huskies ran away with the game 48-10.
The Ravens end their season 2-7. They didn't have the year that they wanted, but a lot of highs throughout the season. Thank you, seniors, for your contributions.
The girls' golf team just won back-to-back state championships for the first time in golf team history.
Let's take it to Izzy Rothen to hear more about how the girls went, how state went for the girls.
2 weeks ago, the Lady Ravens golf team headed out to Emporia to compete in the 6A state tournament, looking to grab their second state title. Now let's see how they prepared mentally and physically for the big competition.
After winning state last year, we really had the goal of coming back and winning again. So I think we're super motivated to compete well throughout the preseason and then into our league tournaments. I think just being motivated to compete and just experiencing all the last moments that we had together as a team.
Our practices, there's two kind of practices that we normally do. It's playing and then working on our individual short game range and putting. So I think being able to decide when to do what is the biggest thing. Playing when we need to learn how to score and we need to get in that competitive mindset.
After preparing for the competition, the girls went in ready to compete and led by 5 strokes after the first day by remaining focused and having some fun along the way.
I tried not to think about the scores. We went into day 2 as it was a single day tournament. If we win day 2, we didn't have to worry about the first day. So I think just taking the 2 days as separate tournaments and winning day 2.
It was definitely a little tricky. We were a little nervous going into the second day because we knew that Manhattan and Shawnee Mission East could compete well the next day. But I think we knew that we had it in us to play well and that if we kind of stayed focused throughout the round and just persevered through each hole that we would come out on top.
With the girls' focus staying strong throughout the second day of competition, they ended up coming away with the amazing feat of back-to-back state titles.
I was very excited. There was a lot of emotions. I was sad that it was over, but I was excited that we had repeated.
I honestly couldn't believe it because that was our goal. We worked so hard for since the very first day of practice, and to do it back to back was just the most surreal feeling.
A huge congrats to the girls' golf team with their back-to-back state titles and all they've accomplished over the last 2 seasons. Continue to make Raven Nation proud, girls. This has been Izzy Rothen from the Raven Network.
Thank you so much, Ravens, for tuning into everyone's favorite section of the show.
Our athletes had a great week last week, and we were proud of them for ending their season strong.
Let's toss it back to the desk.
This past Halloween weekend, ONW's Robotics team went to Lee Summit to compete in a friendly competition with 41 other schools. Let's take it to Gada Bishtawi for more on the story.
What's up, Ravens? We're here with our first robotics team, Team 1710. This past Friday and Saturday, they went to Lee Summit High School to compete against 41 teams.
Our season for robotics hasn't started yet, but we have our team and we have a bunch of new members who don't really know what robotics looks like yet. So we used Cowtown Throwdown as a way to introduce them to their new roles and also get them excited because we have a long season coming up and it can be difficult and you can start slowing down. And it can become boring if you don't know what you're working towards. Really a sense of what we call gracious professionalism, which is wanting to lift each other up and wanting everyone to be their best instead of wanting just your team to be the best.
I think mainly 1710 does Cowtown just to give its members really first introduction to what a competition is. And then get them introduced into those roles that they'll be at those competitions.
Preseason events happen all around the world. So this event, Cowtown Throwdown, is hosted once a year at Lee Summit. And then after build season, we have our main competition events.
In events like this, you have to have a team that's really well bonded and is really close to each other and knows their roles.
Goals for this year, one of my major goals, and I think it's one that the team as an entirety shares, is to make it to champs. There are around 9,000 first box competition teams in the world. And when it comes to regionals, I think around 6 get to go to champs from each, which ends up being around 600. So it's very competitive. We've been lucky enough to go to champs the past 2 years. We're hoping to make this a third.
So my goals for this team this year are to build off the success that we've had in past years and take it to an even further depth. We just keep getting better and better every year, and so I want to continue that streak of success.
For ONW Now, this has been Robotics.
PRT has been working hard on this year's annual musical. Their production of Little Mermaid Jr. is definitely not one you want to miss. Let's take it to Elise Cates to tell us more.
Never been prouder.
Do you like The Little Mermaid? Well, PRT is putting on their fall musical of The Little Mermaid Jr. this weekend.
I always look at it as the day of the show. It's kind of out of my hands at that point. I always get ready by just being excited and enthusiastic because at that point in the show, the kids are in charge of their fate, and I've given them everything I can, and they always tend to do amazing.
The PRT Theater Department does a great job of putting on the fall musicals, but it wouldn't be possible without the amazing cast.
I'm Ariel in The Little Mermaid Jr. My favorite part of the show is probably singing Part of Your World.
We asked some of the cast members how they prepare for the fall musical.
We mainly just go through the whole show. We get into costume and then start from the top.
Joining the musical is a great opportunity for students to learn more about theater, make friends, and gain confidence.
In Little Mermaid, I am Prince Eric.
We asked Brody how he feels about playing the lead role of Prince Eric.
I was super excited because last year I was an extra in the play. So.
If you are interested in attending the fall musical, visit the PRT Theater website to get tickets on November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. For ONW Now, this has been Elise Cates. Now back to the desk.
I can't wait to see how PRT's musical turns out. It's today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Sadly, that's all the stories we have for this week. Make sure to tune in next week. That's all for today, Ravens. Let's fly!